Hello everybody, welcome to Rolling Intentions. I am Jason. So, what is on the menu for today, you may ask? What is this special appearance? Well, it's something that I've been meaning to do for some time and never really got around to doing it. But now, here it is. The time is now, and now we're going to do some discussions about some RPG stuff. But first, I got a couple of things I want to bring up, and as well as I thought it would be pretty nice to put in a bit of an update, I suppose, since the last Penny Red interview that they did with me was like years ago, and so it might have changed my views a little bit since, it's been like 5 years or something since, or even longer than that. I think almost 7 years since Rolling Intentions has been around. So there's been some changes, some updates and whatnot. So I want to go ahead and bring that to your attention. If you're new to the channel, well, welcome. As you can tell, there's lots of things around, and it's been around for a while, so go ahead and browse through the older stuff. You're going to see a lot of role-playing stuff at the very beginning, and then you're going to see me kind of messing around and jiving with different things, and now it's became what it is now. So, I just want to talk about a new schedule of release. So, I never made it official, mainly because I just, this is a hobby for me, so I didn't really think I had to worry about too much about officialness, but I think now I'm going to actually kind of make some effort into keeping things a certain way, at least for you guys. This is literally something I'm just doing on the side for giggles, like most people who do Let's Plays. But I'm trying to at least bring up the quality a little bit for everybody, just so that they can, enjoy what they're seeing. So that's why there's probably some updates and stuff that you probably haven't seen. I finally got to learn how to use OBS. So, woo! Amazing! I'm getting there. Not quite there yet, but anyways. So, let's talk about the schedule first. So, 2019, I was going to put in a new schedule right at the end of December. I sort of been starting this in November. This sort of idea of what I'm going to be talking about. But, you know what? New Year's resolutions are great, but as everybody knows, you usually don't stick to New Year's resolutions because that's when you all go get a gym membership, you work your ass off, and the next thing you know, you stop going. So I'm hoping that me setting this up in February is going to mean that I'm going to be a little bit longer lasting. Sometimes I do have dead points in my channel. That's why I'm doing a lot of content. To sort of boost my motivation to even do this. Anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about the new release schedule. So I've already posted this on my Facebook, which I'm not really overly, I guess, active in. But if you'd like to go ahead and check it out, go to facebook.com/rolling intentions/. That's where all the content for Facebook is on. And if you see anything there you like, just press the like button. I'll be posting various different things, including tabletop games that I've been playing. Right now, I've just started Pandemic Legacy. Went through the very first part of it, so we're only at Season 1. And we already got our butt kicked. But I do have a couple pictures on that. No spoilers, though, for people who haven't played Pandemic yet. Maybe posting some video of that in the future, but with some heavy disclaimers at the very beginning. Don't want people to watch and then play it afterwards, so it was only for people who played it before. Anyways, that's in the future, that's not even now. So on Mondays and Fridays, we're going to be doing tabletop days. So it's already been going on, but the tabletop days will be including the Lord of the Rings, the Living Card Game Progression Series, solo progression series, I guess in this case, and anything else I may put in there where I'm using Octagon. Seeing how that is technically a tabletop simulator, so those games will be going on the tabletop run. But including that will be various different board games and card games that I may be playing, including any rules or how to plays will be on that portion. And as well as the actual plays and chats about that particular tabletop. So if, for instance, I start diving deeply into Lord of the Rings, the card game, which, by the way, I've been playing for roughly about 6 or 7 years, Well, actually, probably more like 6 years. I can't really say 6 or 7. 6 years. And pretty deep into it as it is right now. I got a group that we usually play very occasionally, twice a week sometimes, once a week others. And we're always getting new people into it because it's a cooperative game, so it's amazing. People love playing co-op. And it's not one of those games where you can kind of moderate and do the Super Commander thing. Anyways, if you play Lord of the Rings card game, you already know what's so awesome about it, so I'm not going to dive into too much of that. Let's continue on with the schedule. So that's all for tabletop stuff, like I said. So on Mondays and Fridays will be tabletop-related stuff, including chats, including if I have to talk to somebody about something. That could be like if I get back into Game of Thrones, which I haven't been playing a whole lot of, the card game, or any other card games like L5R. That'll all be on those 2 days. At the moment, it's dominated by the Lord of the Rings Progression Series because I don't have a whole lot of content. I'm able to record that on my own since it's solo. Tuesdays and Thursdays will be the Vicaros video games, where I'll do like a Let's Play on the channel. If you don't really know what Vicaros video games is, it's just what it is. It's a Let's Play channel for video games I like playing. At the moment, I got a couple of variants, different types, including PlayStation games and DOS games. That is where I'm going to be focusing on. It's mostly the DOS games. There will be some collaborations between two groups of people playing games. It could be on any system, but DOS is where I'm going to be focusing on. But that's not where I'm going to be ending on. Could be all sorts of stuff, but that is where my focus will be. So, scroll down here real quick here, seeing how I'm super professional today. And this is new, but on Wednesdays, starting today, or maybe not, but anyways, today, hopefully, we'll be doing some RPG days. So the original aspect of Rolling Intentions was all about role-playing games. It was various different role-play games. We had it even down path. We use the Walking Eye model. If people don't know what the Walking Eye is, you should definitely check out the Walking Eye on I think it's on iTunes. It's just a podcast, so it's mostly audio files, and it's including some other stuff as well. So if you love role-playing games, especially indie games, these guys are definitely worth checking out. Unfortunately, they disbanded a while back now, but their content's still out there, and it's still amazing. I would definitely recommend it. The Jank Cast is another one I would recommend watching or listening to. And there's various others. I mean, you can go on all over the place, but this is more of the stuff that I like listening to. A lot of the indie games. But if you like D&D and Beyond, go for that. Roll D20. I think Adam Coble has a new one called, I think it's called either Roll D20 or something of the sort like that, or Role Play. I don't know, but we had him on the podcast here once before, the creator of Dungeon World. Cool guy. I would recommend taking any of his stuff. It's amazing. I think he played Mouse Guard too, for at least a one shot, and I think that was pretty awesome. And I watched that too, all on YouTube. So go ahead and check it out. So what we're going to do on Wednesdays could be a variance of anything role-playing related. So it's going to be where I'm going to be playing some actual plays. It could just be audio. So back to my roots where we just played audio. It's not all the time. Not everybody likes being on video. But I'm going to try to get some online games as well, where I'll be DMing or GMing online and using different apps in order to make that happen and make it interesting. That being said, maybe some people out there might actually want to join in on this. I got some people in the works, but it's hard to make schedules. I'm super busy as it is, and I'm trying to put out five things, so a week. So that's a lot of content to put out. But I'm willing to try it for a while and see what happens. My occupation may be changing soon. That may throw a wrench into it, so I'm trying to get as much done as I can. And, we'll see what happens. So, RPG actual plays, we're going to do chats, we're going to do discussions, we're going to do interviews. Again, with the interviews, it's been a long time. I want to do some interviews. I want to talk to some creators out there, game creators, my friends I want to talk to them about some topics. I want to talk to you about some topics. I just want to read some comments too about some topics that I may bring up, and as well find out what everybody thinks. I mean, there's various different personalities with role-playing games, and I don't know. Has it gotten bigger or smaller? I guess that's a topic to talk about later on, because it does seem like role-playing games have exploded all over the internet, but when you look at the actual figures and numbers, it doesn't look like it's as big as it was in the 80s. But you know what? That's a topic for another day. We'll talk about that. Not today, but as part of the original idea of role-playing games for Rolling Intentions, literally the reason where the name came from, Rolling Intentions. But we'll talk about that as well. So first thing I want to talk about here is why I even started up the channel. So there's a couple of reasons for that. When I first came back from Edmonton back to Newfoundland, because this is a Newfoundland video YouTube channel. I always called it a podcast, but anyways, when we came back from when I came back from Edmonton back to Newfoundland, I was involved in a pretty big group out in Edmonton, role-playing wise, and as well as tabletop wise, which is really strange because I was only there for like a year or so. But anyways, we came back and formed a group, the St. John's Tabletop Group, or St. John's Tabletop Community, I called it, because I wanted to kind of expand. And we ended up holding a whole bunch of events by myself. I wasn't really sure what to do, but because I did it in Edmonton, I had an idea. So I would actually post out there when we need meet at a coffee shop, play some board games, and go on. Now, we started off with 3 or 4 people and ended up expanding into, well, the group itself is about 800 people, 750 roughly. But the actual number of people that show up to these events varied greatly, but with the bigger events that I held at the Memorial University here, that was pretty good. We had 50 some odd people generally show up, a couple more here and there, and people just had a good time. It was free, and I'm always about free. I don't want people to be paying money, because, you know, that's what you spend your money on. You spend your money on the games you enjoy, but you shouldn't have to spend your money on enjoying them. I know a lot of people out there go to like places like Mochanopoly, which is a board game cafe. You spend your money there. That's great. When Donuts and Dragons was here, which is another board game cafe, I spent my money there. But I mean, going to the local libraries, they all got the board games there now. I don't know what it's like everywhere else, but here we got board games in our libraries, and people take them out, and people play in there and whatnot. It's great. It's a great atmosphere, and I would recommend doing that. Sadly, you can't get your mochas at a library, and as well as in the other events, sometimes there was some money being paid and some donations were required, but for the most part, you know, things were donate only when things were out of pocket, and you know, that's it. That was the whole idea from St. John's Tabletop, was to provide a space where people can play. And I met a lot of people. I met a great deal of people, but mostly I had a niche group of people who I met, and we were all interested in playing various RPGs. So my passion is role-playing games, though it doesn't look like it if you look at all the channel's content, but that really is role-playing games, and I could sit here and talk about it a whole bunch, and it looks like I'm going to, because that's kind of like why I'm doing this little extra segment. Yeah, but things have so the idea. So I came up with Rolling Intentions, and at first I didn't even know what to call it, because we actually recorded a bunch of sessions. I think Mouse Guard and was like the first sessions, I believe. I'm not entirely sure, but I think it is. And then I did Lady Blackbird. So just some different systems. I want to try them out, and that was my way of doing it. I get to try role-playing games because I'm recording them for entertainment purposes. Anyways, the audio quality sucks, but hopefully you guys, if you go check it out, you can get through it. It gets better. Takes a while, but anyways, it gets better. So anyways, Rolling Intentions was the idea I came up with. It said, what do you do when you play role-playing games? Generally, well, depending on what role-playing game you're playing, you're rolling to do something, and rolling tasks. But the games that I've been playing lately, I've been thinking, well, what do I like doing? Well, I like to roll intentions when I play games, because my intentions are to do this, and I roll the dice to do that, and that's where rolling intentions came from. So it's pretty sad, I guess, in a sense. But that's it. I didn't see anybody else with it, so I just went with it and took it. Yeah, so that's kind of how Rolling Intentions came about. And why is it still on the go? I don't know. People thought that a lot of times we stopped producing content, or I say we because we are a group of people, just that I just happen to lead the charge. It's hard. It's hard to keep up. It's hard to keep up with a constant stream, and your life changes. I was in school for a while. It's heavy exams. It was one of those fast track programs. So it really left me really hard up getting some stuff. And honestly, back then, I didn't even know how to do video editing. I barely know how to do it now. But I'm learning, and that's kind of exciting too. So, all right. So let's talk a bit about me, Jason. If you've got anything you want to ask, please put it in the comments below. If I do a couple of videos here in advance, it might take a while for me to actually reply to your comments over the air, if you want me to. Or I can probably, or when I see it, I'll be replying to every comment that's below, good or bad. I'm sure I'm going to get bad ones. That's fine too. You know, thumbs up, thumbs down. This is the world we live in. So, but anyways, so a bit about me. I'm going to talk about mostly, my role-playing experience. I'm in my 30s, mid-30s at that, so I've been around for a bit, I think when I actually started was within the 90s, so I think the person I played with mostly when I first started, well, actually, the first introduction to RPGs was Dungeons & Dragons 2nd edition. So, no, that wasn't that far back. And we didn't use miniatures, so it was different. And it was fun. It was confusing because I was probably only like 10 or 11. But I really loved it. I was like, wow, this is a great system and whatnot. However, the person who I played with, they moved away. I never really understood how to play the game myself fully, other than the fact that I just like saying stories and stuff like that, like every 10 and 11-year-old will do. And it was more of a one-on-one thing, so I never really got a group going. This is like way back when I was first starting. But I love the concept of role-playing games. I love the concept of rolling dice. At that time, I never had my own set of special dice, so I had to kind of make do with D6s. So that's when I started developing an RPG called Vandella, which was horrible at the beginning, as you can only imagine what a 12-year-old or 11-year-old would even create. But a lot of the concepts from that came from various other role-playing games that I played, RPGs like Phantasy Star, like on the computer and stuff like that, or not computer, sorry, on the Sega Genesis, and also probably from Diablo 1 or something. But anyways, so that's so that's like my role-playing experience when I was like 11. Of course, I ended up getting groups together with that information from school and other various friends of families, and we started playing this makeshift game that I created with a piece of paper and a folder, and it was just a bunch of just random stuff that was put in there. Anyways, it was fun. People started creating their own, and we kind of got all creative juices flowing. And then when I hit, I guess a little older, around 14 or so, I started diving into other games, such as like I was like, well, we don't have a gaming store. So where I was too was a small town, and we didn't have a gaming store really. Actually, that's a lie. There was a gaming store, but by the time that I got to the age where I wanted to go in and game a lot, that gaming store closed down. It was called Cards Collectibles at the time, but when the Cards and Collectibles reopened, it was reopened not by the original owners, and it became more of a collectible store where you're collecting dolls instead of cards. So we kind of lost that whole area, but originally he had Dungeons & Dragons modules in boxes. You can go in there, pick up one, and just go through them and go through the quests. I'm assuming that was great. I never really got to experience it. It did turn into an arcade afterwards. I spent a lot of time there, so I guess something good happened. Anyways, so. Yes, so we were talking about some other stuff. So yes, so I had to order my books, oddly enough, from the city, and had them delivered, and it was super expensive, and I didn't have a credit card because I was a little kid, so I had to get my mother to do it, and she was reluctant because religious stuff, whatever. But once I explained it and we got through it, it was good, and I ended up having some other friends that played various games. So yeah, so I did end up playing things like Heroes Unlimited, which is I still have the books. They're horrible, but anyways, I still have the books. Heroes Unlimited, Ninjas and Super Survives, the Palladium system. There, the Palladium system, and that was with the friends. I never had the books I never played very much the Palladium system. I didn't really understand it. It was super complex, super complicated. My brain. I'm not. I gotta say, I'm not the brightest kid there is. Especially even now, I'm not the brightest person there is. But that broke my brain a little bit. So even when they were getting down the riffs and stuff like that, I couldn't. It didn't catch me. It was too many mechanics, and I felt like I was lost. Because I got lost in the mechanics, and that was really confusing. So I ended up getting Star Wars. Spoiler: I actually don't like Star Wars, and I am a Trekkie fan to a point. But even then, I'm not super Trekkie either. So everybody can hate me. That's cool. But I did buy the first edition Star Wars book and played that for a while. That's a D6 system. It was fairly easy, and the stat systems were pretty okay. But I got into the lore a bit. Unfortunately, though, it didn't catch me. I mean, as much as most people with Star Wars, especially now, where Star Wars came out came out recently because of Fantasy Flight. But this is back. I don't even know who created it. It was a while ago. And then I got into some FOSSA stuff, so I started getting BattleTech stuff. The RPG BattleTech, which was kind of killer. I loved it. I combined it with that was back in FOSSA, so I combined that BattleTech stuff with the other BattleTech miniature set where you got the hexagon maps and you're shooting like LRMs and arrow sixes and pew 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 and medium lasers and alpha strike and death from above and wow. Okay, so I got into it. Really got into it. And I think I still would be. I know right now Cataclysm or Catastrophe or something, C letter word, bottom out. And when Faster went under, I was like depressed. I was just like, oh my god, like these are the guys that I love. But anyways, regardless, Shadowrun. That's the other thing I got into. Shadowrun first edition or second edition, I don't remember. The softcover book, super thick. That was probably where I think it was second edition, because I think first edition was like a hardcover. Second edition, I'm pretty sure, is when I got into Shadowrun. So, and it just came out. I loved it. I loved the system. I played it like probably 8 or 9 times, not a whole lot. But I loved it. I loved the Matrix portion of it. That was the most fun to me. I played some of the Saga game of Shadowrun, so it got me into it. That was hard though. But anyways, so Street Samurais, I was all over that, and the biggest thing about Shadowrun that stuck with me was factions. I love the idea of different factions. There was metahumans and anti-metahumans factions. There were cults and corporations, and the hackers that are trying to get rid of the corpse, and it was just like the shadow organizations, and you're working for them, and you're smuggling, and you're... Oh, I loved it. Shadowrun was great. The setting was great. Cyberpunk's like still up my alley here. I wish there was more movies made of Shadowpunk, but alas, there is not. So, sorry. You can see I get excited about this stuff. Anyways, what am I doing? I'm doing. Okay, I know what I'm doing. So, we've got all this stuff all mixed up. And if you remember before when I made that Vandella RPG, things evolved. So, what did I do as a 16, 17-year-old who was getting ready to graduate from high school? I spent a lot of time writing. And I used to have a little black book. I still have it here. And I started writing out rules for this Vandella system, taking bits and pieces of different role-playing games I played. It's weird because I actually never played Dungeons and Dragons until way later. I played like second edition, but I never really got into anything until later. I role played some Vampire the Masquerade, but I didn't like it, so I didn't continue. I played some Werewolf the Apocalypse, didn't like it. I just didn't didn't enjoy it. And when I went to Toronto, I played some games like that, and I didn't enjoy it either. But yeah, no, like it was really strange because I played all these other games with different systems and whatnot. And Dungeons and Dragons, the king of all role playing games, I never played until I didn't play it thoroughly until third edition at least. I did have a group that played second edition. We called it 2.5. Because it was second edition, but the third edition rules were just on the verge of coming out, so we took away THACO before THACO was removed, just so that we can try out the new rules. But actually, I never played Dungeons & Dragons until third edition, and then 3.5, and then Pathfinder, but mostly 3.5. So I made the Vandella game out of a cop-up of a bunch of other stuff, heavily faction-based, and ended up spending way too much time writing it up, all on digital format, by taking a great deal of rules from 3.5 because I was playing 3.5 at the time. So that's basically the SRD version, except for there's some use of percentiles and stuff like that. So yes, it's literally a bastardization of all the different games that I played. Anyways, it's free to check out. If you go to rollintentions.com, go to the download section, download it if you wish. I also created another game called StarCraft RPG. That wasn't actually that long ago, but it's based off another game, because I'm a big thief when it comes to making games, and that would be... anyways, we'll talk about that. It's based off of Carnage Among the Stars 316. But anyways, so here I am playing 3.5. I probably played 3.5 from my early 20s until late 20s. Until like 26 or 7. I don't know. I guess it's not late. But anyways, I played it a nice bit. Actually probably before I think around 20 I started playing it, right? So maybe 6 or 7 years. I got really into it. Everybody loves playing. I was always the GM or DM or whatever you want to call it. A lot of planning. I was getting sick of all the planning. So I tried to do a lot of winging sessions. Didn't work out all the time, but I got used to winging it a bit. So here I go, moving to Edmonton, and I meet a group of people. Aaron Friesen. I met Aaron at that point, and I was opened up my eyes. Let's just say, when I got there, my eyes were kind of like wide open because I was introduced into a new system. So I played all these other ones, and there's this new system that came out, Burning Wheel. Okay, what's Burning Wheel? Well, I had no idea. So it was explained to me exactly what Burning Wheel was about. So I read through it all and was like, wow, this is crazy. Like, this is a lot different than any other role-playing game I played, and I don't understand it, but it blew my mind. And so I said, okay, let's go to a play session and try it out. So I did. I will say, for Burning Wheel, it is not an easy game. It is complicated, and you really got to know the rules in order to really understand it. So I did sit down and read all through the player's guide and the character creation guide as best I could before I played, because the rules get pretty janky. Now, a lot of the systems I play nowadays is based off that system, but anyways, that was a big eye-opener, right? The idea that the game wasn't so much made by the GM or DM. Like that's what I'm used to. I'm used to making campaigns and having the players play the campaign. Burning Wheel in particular was, you tell the GM what you want through using beliefs, goals, and instincts, and then they create a game around those. So it was like a reversal. It felt like, wow, this is kind of interesting and liberating, because now I'm playing a game where, I'm playing a different side of it. I'm almost choosing my own adventure without, and setting. Because the whole world building is big. So I said, wow, this is kind of cool. Is there any other games like this? So that's when I was introduced to more setting-based games, like 316 Carnage Among the Stars, which is more of a narrative game, more about talking than it is about actually rolling dice. And this is kind of like Burning Wheel. Then I got, wow, okay, what other games are there? Misty Imperium. I started getting into that. And next thing you know, here I'm on Kickstarter buying RPGs left and right. And alas, that's when the Rolling Tensions channel became into existence. All because I played a couple of different RPGs that I was just taken back on because I couldn't even imagine recording my D&D sessions. I just felt like the plot was too slow. Though, that being said, that was probably not true because I could have done it. But the battles just made me feel like it was going to take a long time. And some of the battles dragged on a lot. I know that that's not guaranteed, and people can make it however quick they want. But that was just how I felt at the time. Now with narrative games, a lot more talking, a lot more, I guess, descriptive natures. It felt like it was more of like storytelling, which is fine. So, anyways, that's it. So here I am now, years later. And I played roughly 30 or so different RPGs. Not all of them are listed up here. But I found my niche. I found the games that work best for me. I am not a huge player into Dungeons and Dragons games. And not so much even for... I played some the new stuff. The new... Vampire, the Requisition or Requiem. I played some of that. I actually enjoyed it, but again, the system itself didn't really appeal to me. And I know the players can make the system do whatever they want, and the DM can always make changes to the rules and stuff. But I really do think that system guidelines can give you a different experience, which will bring me now into the topic, I think. Because I think after that point, it's pretty much me just playing different games, and this is it. And I ended up finding Mouse Guard, Torchbearer. Those were my things based off Burning Wheel. I like Dungeon World. Apocalypse World didn't work for me very well, but it's still there. I still like the other games, like Dogs in a Vineyard. Oh my god, I could just go on and talk about all the different games that I like and why, and ones I don't like, but that's it. And games give you the experience, give you a feel, which is why I'm going to be talking about a topic which is super controversial, especially for people who don't want to do this, but the topic is playing different systems can broaden your creativity. Is it true? I think so. I think that a lot of us get stuck using certain rules, but I'm not going to say that is a negative thing. People who like playing their games should enjoy playing their games. You don't need to change. You don't need to do anything. In fact, if you enjoy playing that game, keep playing that game. Keep playing the way you want. As long as everybody's cool with it and everybody has fun, that's cool. But I have noticed, since I've been playing these different games, I have been able to be a little more creative in storytelling, especially with the narrative games. Now I play more traditional games. I don't play more traditional games, but when I play more traditional games, I do find that I do more narrative speaking, and sometimes it drives people nuts. Some people like it because they're like, "Wow, that's kind of interesting," and then other people be like, "All right, stop talking. Let's get on with the game. I don't really care about your character and what their motives are. We're a party and we need to get things done." And I hear you, and that's it. That's what I'm trying to say. Different systems give you different experience. So games that are very party-like, very party-based, like everybody's in it to help each other. Cool. Most games are like that. Narrative and non-narrative games. I guess narrative in regular games. I don't know. There's a bunch of different types of things you can call it, but there is a lot of party games where you want to do things that benefit the party. Now there's alignments and different various reasons why you may betray the party, but in general, the best game experience is never split the party. Everybody try to help each other out. Enjoy the game as a single unit. And each of you have your background, your backstory, and stuff like that. But you're all working together to achieve a goal, generally, right? And some of these other systems, they're not like that. Like everybody's got their own motives, and though it's not exactly a PvP system, The games themselves are designed around the characters instead of designed around a campaign or around a setting. This kind of forces you to kind of think on your feet, which is something that I didn't do very well. I tried, but I didn't do very well before I started getting into a lot of narrative games. And now, well, there's a construct of different items, different lists, different things, I guess you could do. There are some restrictions on the DM, which I think, builds the creativity. I know that's really strange because, giving you like a game like Dungeons and Dragons, where the GM has unlimited power, they can pretty much create what they want. But a lot of people fall into a similar niche of let's follow what the rules say. Let's do what we've done a number of times, and things should be okay, and that's fine. But different games makes you have to think differently. Makes you have to do things differently. So, like, if you're in a limited setting, if you have a limited power as a GM, you have to think outside the box in order to be creative. Some of the ideas is the idea that certain games won't let you actually do anything harmful to the player until they fail a roll, and some of those failures can turn into what's called twists, and those twists, you get an option. So you can, like, in Mouse Guard, you can give them a condition, or you can kind of mess with them. And the book doesn't really say what you can do to mess with them. It gives you examples if you're playing like a campaign or something, but you can pretty much do what you want to a point, right? You can't really like kill off a character because they did it, unless it's like something that you've told them up front. If you fail this roll, you're gonna die. So you got to be honest with them, which is kind of forces a GM to be honest and semi-transparent. Some of them, you have lists, so if they fail a roll, you have to choose one of the 12 things. Now, the 12 things, and I know people are going to be like, well, I don't like being limited to that. Well, that's fine. But the 12 things give you an idea. Of course, you can always create something else, but give you an idea what to do. So, like, if you're always aggressive and you're like, oh, geez, I just want to, put an enemy there. Okay, you fail that roll, an enemy pops up. You're trying to sneak into somewhere, and your intent is to unlock this lock and go inside this room without alerting the guards, and the first thing you're going to say is, well, you failed that roll, so I can do one of two things. You just don't get in the door, or hey, why don't you get in the door, but the guards get alerted, because that's what you didn't want to happen. So that would be interesting, right? But there's other ones, so, put them on the spot. You can be like, okay, you open the door and you see your cousin who happens to be one of the guards. You're not sure what he's going to do. He could react and alert the others, or he could join your side. It's something that's like, this is unexpected. It wasn't planned. But because it forces you to think on your feet, and it gives you the options, you can kind of come up with something fairly quickly. It's different. I have taken a lot of my GM's skills lately from different RPGs. Torchbearer, the game that I'm playing now with a group of great people, I'm taking a lot of the ideas, especially with regards to doing twists, from games like Dungeon World and games like Apocalypse World, because they had I thought was a good idea, how to create campaigns and settings. That's where I took a lot of that from. So, it's almost like you can take things from different RPGs and make them into something that you enjoy. And I know you can literally do that with any system. Like, you could just take a system and hack it up all you want, and then it becomes your system. And a lot of people do that. A lot of people make makeshift systems by changing the rules of the system, and it works perfectly for your group. And that's great. And that's that's all part of the creativity, of not following every system out. But that's technically, you're creating your own system. I know you're not, but almost, because you're not exactly. It's not exactly what. That's why like rules lawyers exist, right? Because they want to take a game and then be like, well, I want to follow the rules in the book. But if you're altering rules, you have to make sure that everybody understands what rules you're altering and in what way, so that somebody can't be like, well, I feel like I'm getting screwed over because something happened, and I feel wronged. I feel personally wronged because I feel like what I did. My intentions were to do this, but the rules now have been changed so that I can't do that, and now I feel personally wronged. And those things are usually a bad deal on both ends. People get upset at the table, GMs don't like it, and then there's almost like a bit of a battle for dominance there. But I do really think playing different systems could help you kind of just broaden things a little bit, broaden your creativity, broaden your ideas, broaden your whatever. But if you don't want to, cool. I would sit down and just play mouse guard all the time. So there you go. I would just play mouse guard. If that was the one, if I was going to go on a desert island with a couple friends, and all we could do is bring one RPG and with the dice and character sheets in. That's what we had to play. I'd say it'd be mouse guard. So that's it. If you don't like mouse guard, all right, bring another book. Bring something you enjoy. But that just happens to be my thing. Anyways, that's the end of the topic. You can go ahead and let me know what you think. Maybe you think I'm full of crap, and that broadening your scope of RPGs could actually interfere with your ability to play RPGs correctly. I don't know. Maybe that's what you think. No idea. But go ahead and let me know down below. Remember to hit subscribe if you like what you're seeing. And if you don't like what you're seeing, hit the like or dislike. You know what? I don't control what you do. So, but I will say that if you want to come join us on Facebook, I have literally like 70 people, and most of them are on my Facebook list, but that's reality of it, and I'm going to be honest with you. Go to www.facebook.com/rollingintentions. I'm pretty sure I said that at the very beginning. But that is our Facebook, and I hope everybody enjoyed themselves. I know I speak a mile a minute, so maybe I have to slow down my chatting. And so from here, from Newfoundland, from Jason, Rolling Intentions, see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.